Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to our 72nd annual meeting of Perry Spencer Rural Telephone for PSC 5. At this time, I call the meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Notice of mailing in the end of the meeting was sent to the various reports with section 3 of the cooperative bylaws. That's my secretary. And pursuant to the bylaws of the cooperative, we have satisfied the form. I hereby tell you we have the form of the constituent members. Our current membership is 5,405. As of noon today, we received 1,111 registrations, which is well in excess of the amount.
Okay, good evening. Our next up, we're going to handle our financial report from our auditor, Jared Ray from Los Angeles.
Hi everyone, my name is Jarrett Ray. I'm here today to talk to you about the audit for 2024. Hope you're all having a good start to the meeting or wherever Darren's chosen to slot me in to talk to you all today. So I have prepared a few slides for you to discuss the results of the 24 audit and share a little bit more information. So just a brief agenda, just want to cover a couple of points and then let you all get on with the rest of the show. Talk a little bit about the audit itself and the report and provide a little information on the 2024 financial highlights. So as it relates to the audit itself, a couple of key points I wanted to provide to you all. One, we provided an audit opinion on the numbers that are provided in your annual report, and we gave an unmodified, or in other words, clean audit opinion on those statements, which means that they were, in our opinion, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the U.S. We continue to have excellent support from the engagement team there at PSC. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Kelly and Darren and the rest of the team for an excellent job in supporting us through the engagement and throughout the entire process. I wanted to start with the operating results and the income statement for Perry Spencer. These numbers are at a consolidated basis. And just a few financial highlights as it relates to key line items that you would see in the income statement if you're reviewing through those. Start with operating revenue. We saw a pretty good increase in operating revenue between 24 and 23, sitting at 23.6 million versus 22.4. Expenses all rolled up. If we would just show high level, expenses were $18.4 million versus 18.5, so a little reduction in expenses there, which resulted in operating income with a decent increase year over year at $5.2 million. Ultimately resolving into net margin at $4.3 million versus 3.5 in 2023. So let's just drill into that top line, that operating revenue that I showed you on the previous slide. I always think a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you look at the detail behind that operating revenue, this graph pie chart shows you all where the sources of those revenues are derived from. And you can see that the largest piece of the operating revenue is derived from broadband or internet service, with making up about 45% of that total. The other large portion is through access and USF and settlements support revenues through the regulatory process, and that made up 42% of the total picture. With voice revenue at 9% and long distance at 2%, and miscellaneous non-regulated operating revenue at 2%. So this picture is very similar if you will, to the 2023 results. But I felt it was important to drill in and show you all kind of the sources of the organization's revenues. So let's pivot over to the balance sheet for a minute and kind of walk you through all the components that are sitting on the balance sheet of the organization between 24 and 23. So we have start with current assets of $12 million versus $9 million in 23. Those current assets are primarily made up of cash to service obligations and fund operations in the coming year or years, and cash and accounts receivable. Then you go down, and the biggest component on the balance sheet is net plant, or the facilities that are used to provide all the great service to you members and the communities surrounding. That net plant balance actually was down a little bit from 2023 at $84.9 million. That's a function of where the company's life cycle is in construction, and then the depreciation that is applied to that plant balance each and every year. So that number is $84.9 million. And then you look down to current liabilities at $3.8 million versus $5.1 in 23. Current liabilities primarily are things like accounts payable or obligations to vendors and so forth. The next biggest component, more in the long-term nature, is the debt of the organization and lease obligations. So that number actually was down as well, showing some payoff of those obligations at $18.5 million versus $20.2 in 23. And then ultimately, when you take assets minus liabilities, you get to the equity of the organization, and the largest portion of that equity is the patronage capital, and that patronage capital increased year over year. So 2024, the balance was $48.8 million, almost 48.9, and that's a direct function of things like the earnings of the company and then the payouts of capital credits to the members. So in this last slide, I wanted to just highlight a few other things before I leave you all to the rest of the meeting. So if you recall from that previous slide, a couple of slides back, showed that pie chart that showed where the sources of revenue were derived for Perry Spencer. And the broadband services made up the largest portion of that. It's no surprise. It's the largest portion of your revenues, and it's the largest portion of all communications providers nationwide. So I think it's fitting to highlight the fact that broadband service revenue for your organization grew approximately 8% in 2024, which is really good growth. The next piece I wanted to highlight, when you think about cash flows and the uses of cash of the organization, and the one that impacts the members most are the capital credit payments to the members. And those payments were almost 1.3 million in 2024 compared to 672,000 in 23. So almost double in 24 versus 23. And then the last piece I wanted to highlight was the other most important thing for the organization is its network, those plant facilities. And so cash is constantly being spent as it relates to building, upgrading, maintaining those plant facilities so that they can ensure that they're providing great service to the members and for growth strategy for the organization. And so those expenditures were somewhat offset in 2024 with grant funding. Those are some big programs that are available to providers in Indiana, and they've rolled out nationwide. But those cash expenditures for plant were approximately $4 million in 24 compared to $10.9 million in 23. I'll leave you with those thoughts, and hopefully my presentation helped you all digest some of the information that is in the annual report and helps out as you're hearing from the leadership team there during the rest of the meeting. Enjoy your time, and thank you so much.
Good evening. We welcome everybody here this evening. We do thank Jarrett. This is Modern Technology with Jarrett is in Arizona?
Probably
In Missouri. But anyway, everything's done with Moss Adams has been a lifesaver for us. They've done such a wonderful job on our financials. And Kelly and the group have really helped us a lot this last year in growth. The question that I was asked tonight is before we get into this was, what kind of story am I going to tell tonight? Now, stories are sometimes fictitious, sometimes truthful. It's up for you to ascertain whether they're truthful or whether they're fictitious. The TV show Green Acres used to say that country living is the life for me. And for me, that is personally true and pretty well sums it up. I grew up on a small farm of about 100 acres near Holland. It's actually where Brenda and my wife and I still live. I like country music. I like country food. And to this day, I still have trouble driving by a Cracker Barrel without stopping. It's, in addition to the country food and everything, the most important thing I have learned about country living is the country values that it teaches us. The people in this area are solid people. They're truthful, they're hardworking, and it's just a wonderful place to bring up a family. And now I've known that I've spun a tale or two, and maybe this tale is not true, but you can identify with this matter. Recently, I had a neighbor who lived right down the road, and he was a farmer, much like many of you who have farmers that live next to you. And he had pigs and cows and one old ornery mule called Donkey. Donkey was a mule. One day he was out in the corral with Donkey. All was going well, and Donkey was just eating his supper just like most donkeys will do, when my neighbor's mother-in-law showed up. And like many mothers-in-law, my mother-in-law I got along with really well, but like many mother-in-laws can be, she thought my neighbor was a worthless bum. And she lit on him this night, and she was chewing the fat. And Donkey kept listening to this. And if any of you are familiar with mules, their ears will lay back if they become agitated. And sure enough, the more she chewed on him, the more Donkey became aggravated. And finally, Donkey reared up and he put his front feet on the ground. His back feet lashed out and he kicked the mother-in-law right up the side of the head. It was tragic. But like most small rural communities, everybody goes to the funeral home. So when I went to pay my respects to my neighbor's mother-in-law, he was standing up front and the line was out the door. So I got in line, and as we traversed along here, I noticed that all the women would come up to him, pat him on the shoulder, say something to him, and then he would shake his head, yes. So, but when the men came up, the men would say something to him, pat him on the shoulder, and he would shake his head no. And I couldn't figure this out. So after the funeral was over, I stopped by my neighbors and I said, I have to know, what were you saying when the women would come up, pat you on the back, say something to you, and you would shake your head yes? But the men, they did the opposite. They said something to you, patted you on the shoulder, and you shook your head no. And he said, well, that's easy. He said, when the women came up to me, they patted me on the shoulder, and they said, it was truly a tragedy. And I said, yes, it was. But when the men come up, they patted him on the shoulder and said, can I buy a donkey? And he said, no. That's the best I got for you tonight. So Your husband buys a donkey. Tell your mother-in-law to stay out of the corral. So, the financial reports tonight were given by Jarrett Ray, and first we have approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes were sent to everyone here. We can read the minutes, or you can disperse with them and make the motion to accept. Do I have a motion? I have a motion right here. You've got that? By Rob. We got a second? I can't. All in favor say aye. So passed. The financial report, which you just heard by Jarrett, I need a motion to accept that. Do I have a motion? Motion back here?
Dan Gar.
Dan Gar. You got that? Okay. And second? Right here, but Kent. All in favor say aye. So passed. Thank you very much.
All right, before I get started here, and I do want to make one recognition for a guest that is here, and kind of just a special guest, Mr. Steve Seibert with Southern Indiana Power, CEO, President CEO there, and partner of that we've worked with in the last 5 years, working on some pretty major projects to expand fiber broadband throughout the Southern Indiana membership area. So glad you're here, Steve. Have a good relationship with Southern Indiana Power. So good evening and welcome to your Cooperative's 72nd annual membership meeting. Thank you for being here and being engaged and interested in your cooperative. I want to just take the time to introduce and acknowledge your board of directors. This is a great group of individuals who endeavor to always keep the best interest of the cooperative in mind. Attending monthly meetings that sometimes get long. I'm not sure who to blame the length on, but they'll probably turn around and look at me. And annual strategic planning meetings as well as other meetings. Always advocating for our cooperative and the important fiber broadband service that we provide. Have Tim Denny, chairman with 21 years of service. Nick Dilger, vice chairman with 22 years of service. Lynn Colley, secretary treasurer with 32 years of service. Alan Polster with 46 years of service and retiring. Marvin Rogie with 40 years of service and also retiring. Mark Lautner with 8 years of service, and Jediah French with 2 years of service. As was mentioned in the membership report, people are a vital part of our cooperative. And I want to mention just a couple of longtime cooperative members. Robert and Geraldine Cronin have been cooperative members since 1967. I was 6. They were married in 1967, got telephone service, and were on a party line. They now have fiber broadband and have a smart TV and stream Netflix and Tubi. Charles and Carolyn Dovey have been cooperative members since 1968. They had telephone service with rotary dial telephone and on a party line. And then later they got a push button telephone and got a private line. Then they received fiber broadband and got rid of their satellite. They can shop online and save trips to the store. Both couples have been members for 58 years and appreciate and enjoy a rural lifestyle. Our cooperative has been supportive of our rural lifestyle while also providing great service and being progressive. This is an example of many of our supportive members of our cooperative and why we're here. The next individuals that I would want to recognize are employees for their 25 years of service. Michelle Pund and Adam Hickey. Adam began his career here on May 15th, today, 2000. Look at that guy. He's a kid. As an outside plant technician doing a variety of work in our outside plant, he has experienced a lot of change and growth in our cooperative over the past 25 years, challenges and good things. Adam is currently one of 3 outside plant foremen and has been helping with engineering and providing a lot of valuable work on many of our projects. And who would have thought after all those years, well, all the changes. Michelle, or as we like to call her, Squeak, started her career here on July the 3rd, not the 1st. The next day, we set off fireworks. Michelle serves in customer care and most notably is the bright and bubbly person at the reception area of our St. Minard office. She is our CHP, Chief Happy Person. I want to thank both of them for their 25 years of dedicated service. Let's give them a hand. We've had 2 people that just recently joined the retired ranks of PSC Fiber. Lisa Matthews joined us on February the 1st, 2021 as an accounting assistant. Lisa brought her gift of attention to detail and being very tenacious, making sure things were correct. She did not hesitate to come to any of us and make sure things were correct. Angie Woods began her career here on November 17, 1997, serving in customer care at our St. Minard office. In 2007, she made the move to our Ferdinand office and was instrumental in our deployment of fiber in the Ferdinand community. Communicating with customers and signing up new customers, she has talked with countless numbers of customers and members and processed countless service orders. Thanks to both of them for their dedicated service, and we wish them the very best in their retirement. So with retirements, new people need to come on board to replace them. Aubrey Brown joined PSC Fiber in September of 2024 in customer care. Morgan Schlachter joined PSC Fiber this past January in customer care. We look forward to Aubrey and Morgan's contributions and career here at PSC Fiber and continuing our tradition of great service to our members and our customers. Lastly, but certainly not least, we want to recognize 2 directors who have been dedicated to their service to our cooperative. Al Poster has served as your director representing the Lamar District for 46 years. Marvin Rogie has served as director at large for 40 years. These 2 gentlemen have seen a lot of changes over the years that they've served. They've shared some of their thoughts in our Connection magazine. If you have a chance to read that, you should make that opportunity. Over 500 board meetings, over 40 annual meetings. That's a lot. Thanks to Al and Marvin for their over 80 collective years of dedicated service and support to our cooperative. Let's give those guys a hand. You guys want to members, employees, and directors who are committed and invested in our communities. That's what it's all about. That's the theme through all members and employees and directors. It's just none of this happens without the people. This is the foundation of what makes our cooperative and what makes it great. And that's why we are here for you. So thank you very much. So before I have Chris Goffnett come up and announce our election results, if those are ready, okay, I want to thank Kent Burns, Robert Harding, and Kyla Schroeder for being willing to run for the board of directors. It requires commitment, time, and dedication. And this is proof that, you know, it's monthly meetings and the dedication to be here for our community and our cooperative. And I want to thank you all for making that commitment and doing that. So, Chris, if you want to come forward and provide us with the results of the election, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Darren. So Kent Burns is running unopposed for the Lamar Exchange, so congratulations, Kent. And in the at-large position, the winner of the election was Kelly Schroeder. Kylie. Kelly, yeah, Kylie Schroeder. So congratulations, Kylie. I think that's all from there.
Thanks, Chris, for kind of leading the group. Our ballot counters, Andrew Schroeder, Jan Stein, Sharon Schaefer, and Donna Dilker were ballot counters. So thank those folks for helping out on that. So appreciate it. So now it's time for attendance prize drawings. This is the first one here. This is for 100. Okay. This is a prize drawing for $100 bill credit. Name is Judith Davis. Okay, we have another 100 drawing here. Daryl Berger. How much is this one? Okay. Okay, this is a $50 credit, and it goes to Microfarm Systems, Mike Mason. $50 bill credit to Yvonne Berkey. $50 bill credit to Edward Hagedorn. Ed. $50 bill credit to Donna Dilger. I don't know about this guy. Oh well. $50 bill credit to Al Ogston. $50 bill credit to Samuel Jan. $50 bill credit to Isaac Schroeder. $50 bill credit to Bill Richardson. $50 bill credit to a guy that can fry chicken like nobody's business, Mr. Lee Schaefer. Last one you said? Okay, last $50 bill credit goes to Don Schaefer. All right, so that's those, and we have one one last piece of business that we need to cover, and that is I would like to wish a happy birthday to our CFO, Kelly Schweppe. Where else would you want to be on your birthday? So I appreciate y'all being here. I would now entertain a motion for adjournment. If Robert, Mr. Schroeder there? Catch those? Mr. Schroeder. Thank you for your attendance this evening and your support for our cooperative. Have a safe drive home and a good rest of your evening. Thank you.